Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 30th of June. I'm Derek Clark, and I'm joined on fixture release day by Euan Robertson. How are we doing, Euan?
Yeah, good, mate. Busy morning. It's been a busy week in general with Joshua off, so looking forward to a wee glass of wine when I finish tonight, whenever that is.
Superb stuff. Excellente. I know there's a sweep happening every single morning is when we'll go live, and congratulations to Kaz McD. He went for 9:30, so top man, well done for getting it spot on. We really need to get some prizes sorted for those that managed to get it right in the morning. Right, before we talk all things Rangers and the fixture release, of course, a number of interesting fixtures that have been announced. Firstly, a quick word for our podcast sponsors, Seneca Hair Restoration, the number one hair transplanting group in Europe. You know the drill by now, folks. If you're looking to restore some lost self-confidence, then these are the guys to go to. All the transplants carried out by doctors. They've won multiple awards. The procedures take place in Glasgow and are also available for consultations not only in Glasgow, but Edinburgh and Aberdeen as well. So no need to travel far for their first-class service. So give them a call. As always, all important links are in the description down below. Right, let's talk Rangers. The fixtures were released at 9 a.m. Rangers will open the campaign with a trip to Rugby Park to take on Kilmarnock. It's an interesting kickoff time, 5:15 on Saturday, the 5th of August. Rangers will then take on Livingston the following Saturday at home before travelling to Dingwall a fortnight later to take on Ross County. I believe there's an international break perhaps in between those weeks. And then the first Old Firm clash of the season on the 3rd of September. That's a Sunday. It's at Ibrox. It's 12 p.m. kickoff. So the early kickoff, of course, for that one when Celtic come to Ibrox. Just some notable fixtures elsewhere. Rangers travel to Parkhead on the New Year's game. I mean, this is subject to change, of course, due to the TV and what have you. But Rangers scheduled to travel to Parkhead on Saturday, the 30th of December. Again, a 12:30 p.m. kickoff for that one. The third Old Firm clash of the season taking place at Ibrox, scheduled for the 6th of April, a Saturday. It is scheduled as a 3 p.m. kickoff. We all know it won't be the case. It will be moved to an early kickoff, and it may be the Saturday or the Sunday for that one. Euan, your thoughts on the fixtures?
Yeah, I mean, it's always an exciting day for fans across the country when they come out. I think it's a decent start to the season. Obviously, all the eyes will immediately be drawn to the first Old Firm match day 4. So Sunday it's at Ibrox. So it was always going to be at Ibrox, considering the first game last season was at Celtic Park. So listen, that game is going to be absolutely massive in terms of the season. You know what it's like in Scotland. The media fallout for that game can last a long time, and I think there's an international break immediately after that game. So I'm pretty sure there is.
I think there's an international break. I've seen someone saying, correct me if I'm wrong, folks, but I think there's an international break every month, which is bonkers. But there you go.
Yeah, we all love an international break, don't we? Favourite time of the year, but I think if there is an international break after that fixture, I need to double check it. I had much time this morning to look at that, but if there is, I think that result, the result lingers on for a long time, and the fallout of that can be quite severe. And I think that I'm not going to say Rangers have to win the league this season, but to put down a marker early under Michael Beale, and I think that would obviously put pressure on and Brendan Rodgers if Rangers can win that game, because not all their fan base have accepted him back. So if Rangers can win that game, I think it would be absolutely massive, putting down a real marker at the start of the season. But yeah, I think the fixture list is pretty decent. I think that Celtic game will come after a European qualifier as well. So that's not great in terms of you could be playing on the Tuesday or Wednesday night, going to the game on the Sunday, rather kind of a free week to build up to it. But I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that. I think it's maybe one of the most exciting days of the season, isn't it, when the fixture list comes out?
Yeah, I think all eyes are drawn to the Old Firm games, I think, when they're going to take place. And I mean, it's come really early, I think, in the season, 4th game in, when Celtic will come to Ibrox, like you say, Euan. I think it's a real opportunity to put down a marker. Celtic will be much changed from last season, of course. Likewise, Rangers, Michael Beale will be hoping he's got the nucleus of the squad that he wants by the time that Old Firm game comes around. Someone asked there, is there a winter break? Just looking at the fixtures, it appears that there is one in January time, the first after the game on the... I'm just having a quick look here on... I think Rangers play Livingston. It's not Livingston. We're talking about Kilmarnock at home, on Tuesday, the 2nd of January. And then there is a bit of a break, 25 days until Rangers go to St Mirren on Saturday, the 27th of January. So I'd imagine there may be something of an international break, perhaps an international and winter break combined in there, perhaps. So, interesting. I think the first 4 games are certainly winnable for Rangers. I know Kilmarnock away is never easy. Derek McInnes will have his side hard to beat, and the plastic surf is always difficult, of course. But looking at on paper, Kilmarnock away, Livingston at home, Ross County away, Celtic at home. I'm targeting 12 points from those games. And it's easy to look too far ahead, and I'm sure Michael Beale will be saying he'll just be taking one game at a time, as the old cliche goes. But I think I'll be quite happy with the fixtures that have been announced. What I'll do, folks, is I'll stick the fixture list in the description box as well, so you can go and have a look at it in your own time. Also, just wanted to get to this point that John Holmes did mention during the week, and apologies, John, I never got to your comment. He says he's signed up to the YouTube members. I watched them all. He's looking to cancel the digital subscription. John, what to do is if you can DM, if you're on Twitter, on Facebook, if you can DM the Rangers Review, and we'll tell you how to do that. It's pretty simple to do so on the website. Apologies, I never got to your comment before now. I was trying to reach you, but I couldn't do so. So if you DM us on Twitter, on Facebook, and then we'll be able to sort that out for you. It's pretty simple to do. Thank you very much for signing up to become a YouTube member. Lots of comments coming in here. I wanted to, just touching on the subscription, we do have an offer that has just been launched, at least me nicely on the website itself, folks, where we're offering a full year's worth of exclusive content on the site for just £12. Head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe for all the details. Just £1 a month for the best Rangers journalism around. It's an absolute bargain. So go and take advantage of it while it's live. I think you've got 5 days to take advantage of it, so please do so. Other big news of the day, Euan, I think from yesterday evening, of course, was the announcement of Abdallah Sima as a Rangers player signing on a season-long loan deal from Brighton and Hove Albion. 22-year-old Senegalese right-sided forward. Of course, we all know him from his time at Slavia Prague. Speaking after signing, Sima said, "Rangers is a big club with a big history. I played here for Slavia Prague 2 or 3 years ago, and when I came here, I liked it. So for me, it's very exciting to join Rangers. I spoke with Michael Beale, and it was a very natural conversation. He told me about Rangers and about how we will be playing. I already knew a bit about how Rangers play, so when they called me, I was very honoured." And Michael Beale commented, "We are delighted to have Abdallah join us for the forthcoming season. He's a player I'm excited to work with. He has excellent variety in his game and can fulfill a number of attacking positions in our team. He has recently turned 22 years old and has experience playing in 3 domestic top divisions in the Europa League and as a senior international for Senegal. We met a few weeks ago and discussed at length, his alignment to our style of play and his future development as a player." Pardon me. Get a glass of water here. Old frog in the throat here. He is someone that I follow closely since his breakthrough in the Czech Republic, and I'm extremely pleased to have Abdallah join the squad at the very start of pre-season. I would also like to say thank you to the staff at Brighton, who have been excellent since our initial contact. a number of weeks ago. Got there in the end, Euan, but pleased to get this one over the line.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting transfer, good pedigree. Obviously went to Brighton for £7 million after he impressed at Slavia. Brighton's recruitment is notoriously hailed for their kind of how they identify players, using statistics and stuff like that. So there's obviously a player in there. He had a loan spell at Stoke. I think he got a really bad injury. Only played like 4 games, I think. He went to Angers in France last season, and he done better. His goal return still wasn't unbelievable, but he was playing in a very, I wouldn't say very poor side, but he was playing in a poor side, quite a competitive league. So in terms of his profile, I think he's quite exciting. There's been a lot of talk about Rangers right wingers over the years, and he would fit into that position pretty well, albeit I don't think Rangers will play with well, certainly if you look at the team on paper with wingers next season, but I think he'll play as one of the split strikers, and you obviously move into that area of the pitch during the game. So, I remember you being a big fan of him from those Slavia games. I think he's 6'2", so he's a good size. He's a good feet. He's quick. I think he's an exciting addition. I think he's one of 3 signs Rangers need in that position. Especially if one goes out, there's still rumours that Cholak might go out. So I think you're still looking at bringing in 2 more strikers in that position. Obviously, Danilo's been linked, Desser's been linked. Just went quite quiet on Josh Maja, but I think that's just how it is because of his contract situation. Sometimes I keep saying this. Sometimes no news is the news. It's just kind of rumbling on in the background. But yeah, I think it's a very exciting addition. I think he'll provide certainly strengthen the squad, but I'd expect him to be a starter next season. I don't think Brighton would have let him come to Rangers if he wasn't heavily in Michael Beale's plans. Obviously, Davy Weir's the technical director at Brighton, so he's heavily involved in the deal as well. So yeah, I think it's a good addition.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I think David Weir being at Brighton, of course, if we all know his connections with Rangers, and who knows, that maybe one that might utilise a relationship going forward. But with Brighton, they are flying high in the English Premier League down there. So yeah, really happy with the addition of Abdallah Sima. He has had a stop-start couple of years, it's fair to say. I think he had a much more productive season in France last year, and hopefully be speaking to someone about his time over in Ligue 1 later on today, folks. So keep your eyes peeled for that. But yeah, I think it's a very good addition, and it's another one in the forward line. I think that is a key area of the pitch that Rangers need to strengthen. And there was a video me and Johnny did yesterday for the members, and Leesky gets in touch and says that squad depth video is seriously tempting me to become a member of the channel. Love the red thumbnail theme for members videos. Yeah, we've done a video, me and Johnny, yesterday, just about the squad depth, looking at each position and where Rangers really need to strengthen come the start of the season. I think it's glaringly obvious that it's in the striker positions. So Sima certainly is a step forward in that regard. Dave Fulton raises a point here just on another player that has been heavily linked. He says it is the Panzo deal dead. I think it's like what you said, June. No news with regards to Majid. No news is not necessarily bad news with regard to that. There will be negotiations taking place behind the scenes. Of course, he stars for Nottingham Forest as his parent club. He was on loan last season, of course, at Coventry City. Ross Wilson, as we all know, is at Nottingham Forest now. I'm sure that there is, as I touched on Davy Weir, there's that relationship between him and Rangers, but it's just one of those ones where they just have to come to meet in the middle with regards to Jonathan Panzo, I'd imagine, Euan.
Yeah, I mean, on Panzo, it's the interest is genuine. Like you mentioned, Ross Wilson's at Nottingham Forest, so that makes kind of communication channels between the two clubs a lot easier. Yes, sometimes it's a case of it's just no news at the moment, because if you look at it, Forest aren't back for pre-season yet. They'll still be assessing things. I mean, the other thing to look at as well is, I've spoke to people close to that deal for a while now. Rangers have a really good relationship with the agency that Jonathan Panzo's on. There's a couple of players at the club who are at the same agency at the moment. So Yeah, I'd expect that one to kind of rumble on, and deal's definitely not dead at the moment. I wouldn't say that, but there's nothing. Last time I spoke to people close to the situation, there was no real. That was this week, by the way. There was no real update on Jonathan Panzo. There's obviously other options at that position, and obviously Jonathan's got other options as well from clubs in the English Championship. So it's one to monitor. It's definitely one to monitor. Just on the squad depth as well. I wrote an article about that today. A couple of days ago, but it's went out today. Obviously, if you look at social media, there's a graphic there, and it kind of delves into the positions and where Rangers need to strengthen. I've not watched the members video yet, Derek. I'll be honest. I will get round to watching that at some point today, because I did notice it was embedded in the article, which is on the website if you want to have a look at it. I think there's still 3 positions where Rangers need to strengthen. So I'd look at centre forward, of course, which is well documented. I think another central midfielder needs to come in. Obviously, Cifuentes has been heavily linked.
Is he that midfielder, Euan? Do you want another one apart from him?
It depends on movement. I think this all depends on movement out the way. But I think regardless of moving out the way, I think 3, possibly 4, I'd maybe go 2 strikers, 1 central midfielder, and a left centre back, who could also play at left back as well. Ideally, would be the 4 players I think need to come in, and I think the rest of the business really depends on who goes out the way, because I think there's 5 or 6 players who Rangers would move on if the right bid came in. And we're looking at Kamara, Wright, McLaughlin. Forgot off the top of my head who the other ones would be. Cholak. I think there's maybe a bit of doubt over Ben Davies, and I'd keep an eye on Borna Barisic's situation as well. I think if you look at Panzo and Trusty, the 2 players that have been linked at left centre back, both are capable of playing at left back as well. So is Dujon Sterling. So I think I might get a situation where if Michael Beale wants to go with Yilmaz as his starting left back, which I believe is the case, then I think Barisic has only got a year left of his deal, so he could easily move on. And if you've got cover in Sterling, and a Panzo, a Trusty, or even young Adam Devine can obviously back up there as maybe a third choice. And I think you could see maybe Barisic leaving the club this summer too.
Yeah, interesting. Loads of comments coming in. Firstly, thank you to Benjamin and Leesky for becoming members to the channel. Welcome on board, guys. James Perry says, why are members' names in green? Do we have one of the dark side in administration? No, it's the guys at YouTube, James. Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do about that, we're told. The colour scheme isn't the best if you become a member, I've got to admit. But thank you for your support anyway. We need to get to this pressing point before we continue. Robert Binney in Glasgow Rangers Nation says, just about you, Euan. Have you had this before? Euan, a.k.a. Raskin, on the review again. Nico Raskin lookalike. Have you had that before?
I know Joshua gets called Yanis Hachi, but it's the first time I've had this. The beard needs a wee trim in the bar. It needs a wee short back and sides as well. So I'm not sure I'm having that one, to be fair.
Oh, I guess there's worse players to be likened to. That's for sure. But Nico Raskin and Yanis Hadji on the show. There you go, folks. Right, let's get to a few more of the comments that are coming in. Dean Milne says, any update on Offalbo? No, it's as we were, I think, with that one. I think Michael Beale, when he did touch on that towards the latter part of the season last season, he did go into detail about Namdi's condition, his rehabilitation, of course, and it's very much a private matter. I think with that, I don't think he's close to playing for Rangers. Whether he plays football again remains to be seen. He is still contracted to Rangers. He is going through, as I mentioned, the rehabilitation at the moment due to the heart issues that were discovered shortly after signing for the club. So it's really unfortunate for the lad. I've said many times before, when he initially signed, I spoke to a number of his teammates, both at Wycombe, Bournemouth, and even Nigeria, where he was coming through the ranks as well. And they all say great things about Nnamdi and says he was destined to play in the Premier League and reach the very top. So it's absolutely dreadful what he's had to go through in the last couple of seasons. We wish him the best of health, but no news at the moment on that, Dean. I'm sure Michael Beale they'll be asked about it at some point in the weeks and months ahead. But at the moment, there's no update on Nnamdi. This day in the life wasn't listening to the first part of the show. He says, what are the first 4 league games of the season again? It's Rangers start off with a trip to Kilmarnock away on the 5th of August, an evening kickoff as well, 5:15 for that one. Livingston at home the following Saturday, then a 2-week break before heading up to Dingwall to take on Ross County, followed by the match against Celtic on Sunday, the 3rd of September. So there you go, buddy. That's you up to date. Dave Fulton, just on transfers, if we get Fuentes, Danilo, Dessers, or Dessers, I think he means there, and Panzo, I'll be happy. Chuck in Maja as a cherry on top. We discussed yesterday, Euan, when we had Adam and Johnny on the show, if it's a case of Danilo or Dessers, or will Rangers bring the 2 of them in? I can't see them bringing both of them in. It's good to see them targeting a number of different options, different players, of course. But if you had to choose between Danilo and Dessers, who are you choosing?
Danilo, probably just because of his age. I think Dessers is 28, and it's not for me to sit here and say that's old, considering I'm older than him. But in football terms, that's kind of relatively older, although he should be in his peak. But if you're going to have to splash out, 4 or 5 million to bring him to the club, I think it makes more sense to bring Danilo in, just in terms of his age. If he does really well at Ibrox, then there's a potential to sell him on. Where with Dessers, that lessens a little bit. But I completely agree. I think Maja's one that I certainly would keep an eye on. I think he's a really good prospect. Again, with his age, he's quite an attractive proposition. But I think that one might be a little bit later in the window. And there's so many factors at play here. It depends who goes out in terms of budget as well, how much you can get for those players. I think the fee for Kamaz has been mooted at £5 million. So, they hope the Saudis are on the phone to Michael in the next few days with a big offer, because that would certainly help the situation. On Cifuentes, I know a lot of people are saying it's went a bit quiet, but it's always kind of been, my understanding in the situation that it will be the start of July that you'll see movement on that, just due to his contract. So I think you'll see a bit of movement on Cifuentes next week. I keep an eye on Cifuentes next week. I expect a bit of movement next week. But that original point, I agree with what Dave says. I think it would be Danilo over Dessers.
Yeah, that seems to be the general consensus in the chat as well. Listen, it'll be interesting. There is a piece on the website this morning. Folks asked Marco Negri and Sergio Perini about both Lammers and Dessers. He says, don't expect goals, a lot of goals from them. They're not out-and-out goal scorers. Lammers, Lowe, is the one that both of them says is a really talented player, and they expect him to do really well at Rangers. He'll create lots of opportunities for the striker, whoever that may be, whether it's Dessers, Danilo, and Maja's been mooted as well, of course. Who knows? Thanks to Mark Wilson, who's signed up to become a member. Thanks very much for that Mark. Just going back to lookalikes, Peter MacArthur says, Divine lookalike yourself, Derek. Well, someone did say I look like his dad at some point, I think last year. I'm sure it was. Someone mentioned that. I think I could be his dad technically. But yeah, Adam Devine, that's an easy one, I think. Just touching on Adam Devine, that is nicely linked onto that, Euan. Me and Johnny were discussing him yesterday when we're doing our squad chat. With the arrival of Dujon Sterling, I think that makes it more difficult for young Adam to get a chance in the team. We know he can play left and right back, but so can Dujon. I think, as you touched on, it remains to be seen what's going to happen with Borna. Can you see Devine? I mean, he played 8 times last season in all competitions. Can you see him playing more or round about that next season, or would you like to see him put out on loan somewhere?
It kind of depends on injuries and stuff like that. But I mean, I think Sterling, from what I hear and from who I speak to, I think Sterling's here to play. So you look at that, and Tavernier's obviously got that right back slot kind of locked down. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sterling starts quite a lot of left back, just because his profile and he's physical, he's strong, he's quite different to Yilmaz. I know Yilmaz impressed towards the end of last season, but those games were they weren't meaningless, of course, but they were playing in a lot less pressurised environment. So it'll be interesting to see how he starts next season. In terms of Devine, I think he'll struggle for minutes. If you look at a loan spell there, Derek, maybe. We've got to kind of keep one eye on the kind of homegrown quota as well. So maybe he could be, kept in the building to kind of fulfil that. The other problem is that, for players like Lowry, like Devine, like King, like Lovelace, even young Bailey Wright's a little bit different because he's a lot younger, but because there's no B team in the Lowland League next season. I mean, in terms of their development, you do have to maybe look at it because they need to play games. And there's not going to be a lot of games, competitive games for them if you look at the schedule. So I know Rangers are actively looking to play against top sides in England, the youth academies and stuff like that. But you get to an age where you need to be playing, I would say, competitive men's first team football. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on next season. I wouldn't be surprised if Devine was available for loan. I know he's been out before, hasn't he? I think he was at Thistle he went to Thistle, didn't play a game, and then he went to Cove. I think off the top of my head. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he went out on loan because I think first team opportunities will be limited.
Yeah, he went to Brecon City, played a bit more back in 2021. Listen, I like Adam Devine. I thought he did well when Michael Beale came in, and he was sort of shoehorned over at left back with Bonnet at the World Cup and Redvan out injured. I thought he did himself justice in those games that he played in. I just think it's really competitive, those two full-back positions, and I'd rather he be out playing consecutive football somewhere than just not even getting in the squad at times. So that's an interesting one. Dean Milne says Devine probably needs to bulk up a bit more. Leon King built like a tank. I think Devine still looks a tad skinny, but we'll get there. Right, loads of comments coming in. Just going on talking about Danilo and Dessers. Leesky says, has Beale worked with either Danilo or Dessers before? No, I don't believe he has. I know he did say in a press conference again at the latter part of last season that you'll be able to identify the links with the players that are arriving at the club. I know he spent some time in Brazil coaching Michael Beale. Not sure if his path crossed with Danilo. He joined Ajax back in 2017. He joined the second string Ajax side, Danilo there. Before then, he spent time as a youth player at various number of Brazilian sides. Dessers, I don't think he's come across him before, but Michael Beale is a football anorak. He knows players from far-flung places, so I'd imagine he'd have been well aware of Cyril Dessers prior to Rangers looking to bring him into the club. So, but there was a few reservations about the markets and where Rangers were shopping in a few weeks ago, Euan, the fact that they were just looking down south. A lot of fans were hoping that Rangers would be shopping in markets further afield, and I think we have certainly seen that. We touched on Cifuentes, of course, Dessers and Lammers coming from Serie A, Danilo in the Eredivisie, of course. So it's good to see that it isn't just looking at players in the English Championship, and they are casting their net further and wider. Yeah,
just on Danilo, I think Beale was at Sao Paulo in Brazil.
Wow, there you go. Well done.
But Danilo didn't play for them as far as I'm aware. He was born.
You'd have known of him. He
was born in Sao Paulo, but he didn't actually play. He played for Corinthians, Vastos da Gama. I think it was another team, and I think it was Santos as well. But I presume that you would have known the player, yeah. And I completely forgot what your question was. In markets, I think the business has been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
Your pre-season starts today at Auchenhowie. You get five players in the door. You may be looking at, I think Michael Beale would ideally get the business done as quickly as possible. We might get another one or possibly maybe one, maybe two in next week. I don't know exactly when they fly to Germany, but you're still looking at over a month until the first competitive game. So you do have time. I think it's 2 weeks until the first friendly, isn't it? The Alan McGregor testimonial. So you still got some time before the games.
Yes,
come out.
is that when is that again? The 18th of July, or is it the 20th?
13th. I think it's the 13th.
Is it?
Yeah, I
Let us
could
know in
be
the
wrong.
comments, folks. I've completely, I've no idea when that game is. I'm sure it's July at some point.
It's either the 13th or 18th, so we'll go with one of those. Yeah, so still a bit of time before the kind of first friendly. So I think Beale will be pretty happy to with his business so far, and I still think there's at least 3, 4, 5 players to come in.
Yeah, interesting. There's an interesting point I wanted to I mean, I touched on it on the video yesterday with Johnny, which seems quite remarkable when you think of Rangers' connection with Dutch players. But of course, Sam Lammers joining. I said I think he's the first Dutchman to arrive at Rangers to play for the club since Ronald Waterreus joined way back in 2005, 2000. I think 2005 he joined it initially, Ronald Waterreus. Timothy Sharp says, like with more players from Holland than we were when Gio was here, which seems quite incredible, doesn't it, Euan? I mean, Rangers have been synonymous with Dutch players in the past that have graced Ibrox, but what is it, 18 years or so since the last Dutch player played in a Rangers jersey. It seems quite remarkable, really.
It was quite a common theme, wasn't it? People questioned why Gio wasn't going back to a market he knew well and signing Dutch players, and it's quite ironic that when he leaves, that that Dutch player comes in. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly interesting. I think it is it's strange when you look at it, because I know a lot of people did say, well, why is Gio not signing players he knows, and he's got knowledge of that market. He's obviously coached over there, and then his first window. First real window, first summer window, he's out the door. Sam Lammers comes in, and I can see Dean's a few comments. 8 teams, so you were correct. So yeah, well over 2 weeks until that the first game, non-competitive game of the season. So plenty of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, folks. I think that'll do us there. Just a quick reminder: I've had lots of people sign up to become a member of the YouTube channel on this show. So thank you for that. If you want to sign up, there should be a join button on the homepage of the Rangers Review YouTube site. If you click that, you can join for £2.99 a month. You get extra content every week, exclusive content, up to 3 to 5 videos per week, loads of content on there. If you watch this morning briefing later on in the day, you can watch it ad-free as well. I know we get a lot of comments from those that are unhappy with the amount of ads on the show when they do watch it. I think everywhere you watch YouTube videos now, it's littered with adverts, but if you become a member, it is ad-free. Right, folks, that'll do us here. Just a quick reminder, if you are joining us late of those fixtures, Rangers begin by heading to Ayrshire to take on Kilmarnock at Rugby Park on Saturday, the 5th of August, a 5:15 kickoff. So get it in your diary. Rangers then host Livingston at Ibrox the following week before heading up to Dingwall 2 weeks later to take on Ross County. And then the first Old Firm clash of the season, Celtic come to Ibrox on Sunday, the 3rd of September, at 12 p.m. kickoff. Right, folks, thanks to each and every one of you for interacting with the show. Big thanks to Euan as ever. We'll be back again on Monday. In fact, Monday's I'll be on live, and then I'll be jetting off to Bangkok for the ORSA convention. Lots of content coming your way from the Thai capital as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Speak to you again on Monday. Until then, enjoy your weekend. Bye for now.